So we're doing registration today, partial, fragile tooth, fragile tooth. The lab should, in an ideal world, block out the undercuts with plaster of Paris so the teeth don't snap off, or wax and duplicate the cast. So you then make the rim and it goes on and off the cast without the risk of fracturing the teeth off. That's why teeth break on primaries. So we're going to do this now, so I'll let you know what's going on. All right. So we're doing a registration now. You have to use a Willis bite gauge. So what we're going to do now is work out the patient's RVD and OVD. So resting vertical dimension and occluding vertical dimension. So you get the patient to bite on their teeth the way they normally do, because we've got a lower canine here. So the lady bites on her back teeth, and then we measure. You put the Willis gauge against the chin, and you bounce it until you get a reading. We're getting at 60 millimeters there, okay? Then you ask the patient to gently blow, like they're blowing a candle out. And that's 64. Bite down again to double check. Measure that for 61. Gently blow. RVD 65. So here's our occlusal, okay? Here's our occlusal rim. We try this in now. The chance of this being right is really slim. So the patient's going to bite in centric relation. So initially we just seat the rim and ask the patient to close together. And not surprising, we've got premature contact at the back, so we're going to trim the rim down until the height's about right, so the lower 3 touches the upper denture, which is the correct OVD. These gadgets are electric wax-knife heat, induction heater, no flame. If you look at the rim carefully, you can see where the teeth have touched the rim, so we've got premature contact at the back. So we're just going to heat the wax knife up with this. Initially, because the rim's too high, we're just going to take a big chunk off both sides at the back. We've got significant premature contact. So you do that to get it roughly right, then you go back to the patient's mouth. Now the rim's in the mouth, you can see we've got even contact both sides, but this lower canine isn't touching the upper denture, and also the lady's coming forward a bit. So we're now going to soften the rim on both sides with a hot wax knife. Now we need to know, the patient needs to know what they're doing, so you come down a bit with this. So we can see the lower 3 is hitting the upper denture. That's in centric relation, so the patient needs to know what we're trying to achieve. So they can feel this tooth touching this denture at the right height, and there's a molar down there as well, which you can't see. Okay. So when you're about 2 millimeters from where you want to be, you can do your cross-hatching. Now your rims need to be skinny. If you've got great big fat rims, I've said this before, it takes too much heat. So the rims need to be quite narrow as the teeth would be posteriorly. So you cross-hatch. You're not going to get this right first time. Cross-hatch, and then you go to the patient. I should have said you do this on the model. Cross-hatch the rim on the model, and the model needs to be wet, otherwise it will stick. So cross-hatch, get it nice and soft to a reasonable depth, 2 or 3 millimeters. And take it off the model, and because the model's wet, it won't stick. Remove the excess wax and go to your patient with it. We've got lucky there, so the canine's hitting the denture exactly the way it was before. We've got even contact down this side, and if you turn your head towards me, we've got even contact on the other side. So we're just going to seal those together now with some zinc oxide eugenol. So we know we've got it right. We know we've got it right in the mouth, and if you look carefully here, you can see the indentations of the teeth on the rim. But I just want to make sure this is sealed together. As I said, the rim needs to be narrow. If the rim's too fat, you can't record this. It needs to be a skinny rim. So just to be on the safe side, we know it fits the model. We are just going to put some zinc oxide eugenol on here. We're not going to use Hydrobite because it's too bouncy. Zinc oxide is nice and simple. If you put wax there, it's going to prop the patient open. You want something fluid when the patient bites together, which is going to be zinc oxide. This is the zinc oxide. So I'm filming now. Jess is mixing for me. You just need a little bit. And you're going to smear a bit on either side of the rim. So here's the rim. Just going to add a bit on each side, so when the patient bites they won't feel it. If you use Hydrobite or something like that, the patient's going to feel it. If you use wax, you'll prop them open. If you use something that's really fluid, the patient won't even notice it and they'll bite straight through it, and you have the correct OVD. So zinc oxide mixed, a little bit there. That's all you need. A little bit there, and the patient's going to close down on that. And there we have it, zinc oxide eugenol. It's fluid, so the patient's oblivious to it, and we can just check that the canine is hitting the upper denture, so we know the correct OVD. We just wait for that to set. What you do is tell the patient to close together and keep them together. If you use wax, you'll prop them open. If you use Hydrobite, it's going to set too slowly and you'll probably have a bouncy bite. So here we are, zinc oxide used now. You can see the indentations of the teeth. You don't need much. Closing arch model, you must do this when you do registrations. You have to put your registration back together. Gary will love this. Gary in the States is going to love this. Look at that, 0 bounce, Gary. How's that? The other thing you must check is you put the rim on the model and make sure the whole thing goes back together. If you can't put it back together, nor can your technician. And that's it.